Hey guys, you're listening to Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera, and this is Adrian Vandenberg, all the way from Holland. And I'm really honored to be here. It's about we're going to talk a little bit about my latest album, the album Sin of my band Vandenberg. Some of you may know me from my 12 or 13 years with Whitesnake. That was a long time, and I'm back with my own band. So. It's been a very exciting process to come out with our 2020 album right before COVID struck. So we couldn't really tour anywhere, but we're going to make up for it in the next couple of months and the next year. So hopefully we get to see each other.
Hi, Adrian. Namaste. Welcome to Stalwarts of Music. It's such an incredible privilege to have you on my show, sir.
Well, the privilege is all mine, man. Thank you very much. Thanks.
So, where are you right now? What's going on in terms of music? And you have a nice space that you've set up around you.
Well, yeah, it's my living room in Holland.
Okay,
It's a
lovely.
good thing that you only see this part because the rest is a chaos.
All right.
I just got home last week from doing a lot of interviews
Mm-hmm.
across Europe, and as you can see, well, as I can see also, there's one of my guitars right
Mm.
behind me, and then there's a curtain. I won't show you the rest of the room because it looks like there's an explosion in a
That's all right.
paper factory
Mm-hmm.
because I have to catch up with all my administration and all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening, and
Okay,
it's great to talk to you about it.
great. So, I'm going to get started with our agenda today. So, Adrian, can you tell us how did you initially encounter rock music?
Well, when I was a kid, first of all, my mom told me that when I was like a toddler, when I was 6 or 7 or something,
Mm-hmm.
I was already running around the house with a cigar box from my dad,
Mm.
where I had elastic bands
Mm.
put over. So I went now, down, 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 and my mom said, stop it, drive me crazy." So I um, I started fiddling around on the piano,
Mm.
which I still do sometimes when I'm writing, and I think it was around the time that the first bands came up where the electric guitar was very important, whether it was the Beatles, the Stones, and a little bit later, of course,
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Rainbow, Cream, Jimi Hendrix, of course. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely my all-time favorite.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, when I was really taken by the guitar, my parents told me that ever since I got one, when I was about 12, um, I didn't leave it alone. I had it with me all the time, and I couldn't wait to play an electric guitar. But my dad said, "Well, if you want to play guitar, it's better to first learn it on acoustic guitar,"
Yeah.
which I didn't want to do, of course. But that's the way it went, and he was right. It's always better, because your left hand grip gets stronger when you start on an acoustic guitar. Electric guitars are a lot easier as far as
Yeah.
the size of the neck goes. So yeah, I took it from there.
Got it. And what was the environment like? You did mention of some popular names like Jimi Hendrix, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and all of that. But within your country, what was the music scene like? Did you have some homegrown bands around that time? What was it like? What was the
Yes,
yeah landscape
yeah,
like?
yes. When I was still living in Rotterdam up till my 14th, I put my first band together. Well, actually, I was asked by um, a local band where the guys were way older. I was 13 or 14, and those guys were already in their early 20s, and they asked me to join their band, and they had amplifiers and electric
Mm.
guitars I could use. So for that reason, I joined them actually.
Okay.
And we did, little shows and stuff. It was nothing special, And when I moved to Enschede, which is where I still live, that's the east part of Holland,
Mm-hmm.
very close to the German border, I started putting my own bands together.
All right.
And the environment in Holland was not too bad. When I was a kid, there was only one radio show that paid attention to pop music,
Mm-hmm.
and that was everything on one big pile. You could hear Jimi Hendrix one moment, and the next moment there would be a stupid female pop singer from England or something. So it was everything, which is actually kind of cool, because right now, as you know, everything is very compartmentalized.
Mm.
It has to be hard rock, and the other thing has to be rap, and the other thing has to be pop, and the other thing, everything is really in little compartments. And at the time when I grew up, it was quite cool that you automatically, when I was waiting for something from Jimi Hendrix or from Van Morrison or whatever,
Yeah.
you heard automatically you had to listen to the other bits as well.
Mm.
I think for your musical education, that's better because otherwise, you're very one-sided. And I started writing songs at a very early age.
Yeah.
So right now, the last couple of years, I realized actually for the first time in my life that all those influences from music that I didn't really want to listen to still contribute to your songwriting because it's all about melody and about balance in a song.
Great. Great. Uh, let's talk about Vandenberg, which is the hot topic for me. I did listen to the three set of singles: "Light It Up," "Sin," and "House on Fire." One might
Great.
take time to look at it from different angles, shapes, and possibilities, before you guys as a unit hit the studio and probably work on your ideas. So, how did you go about this entire process of making these incredible songs as part of the new release?
Well, I work exactly the same way as I've pretty much always done. I write the music at home. With the early Vandenberg albums and the 2020 album, I also wrote the lyrics and the vocal melodies.
Uh huh.
But this time, as you know, I have Mats Levin in the band, and he has a lot of ideas about lyrics and vocal melodies as well. So when I finish all the music,
Yeah.
I make a very extensive demo that almost sounds like a record. I make it at home in my home
Mm.
studio
Yeah.
because I don't want to fool myself thinking, oh, later on, when I'm in the studio, it's going to be great. No, it has
Yeah.
to be great before you go in the studio.
Yeah.
And I'm very critical about myself. I'm very um, into details, and it has to be perfect for my
Yeah.
view as a song, And so this time, Mats and I exchanged ideas about the vocal melodies and the lyrics. So for the first time since working with David Coverdale,
Mm-hmm.
I worked with another singer on those melodies and words. So it was
Okay.
very interesting because, as I said, Mats has got good ideas and we worked very well together. So yeah, it worked out great. I'm very happy with the result. I'm very proud of this album because it's an album that I was trying to make in the early 80s with Vandenberg, the early
Okay.
Vandenberg,
Okay.
but I didn't have the experience yet how to get there, how to translate the sound and the ideas that you hear in your head, how to translate those to a recording.
Yeah.
And now I have that experience, so it's I got really close now to what I hear in my head.
Well, I did enjoy it as much. And since we're on the topic of the album, let's play a little bit of the song "Sing" for the
Yeah,
people of India. Let's hear some "Sin." Yeah.
great.
I've seen the storms blaze through the sky. I've seen the fires raging by. I hide the secrets of my mind. Things I've done and left behind. Wherever I'm going, wherever I've been, there will always be.
That was "Sin." by
Yeah.
Vandenberg. Yeah, what an incredible track.
Thank you, man. Thanks very much. I'm very proud of it. I actually listen to this album when I'm in the car.
Mhm.
And normally I don't really listen to my own music,
Okay.
but I get a kick out of it. And much of singing is so powerful that
Yeah.
it makes me want to play better. You know.
So, do you want to speak a little bit about the people, the band that you have as part of this particular release? Do you want to speak about the
Yes.
members and how all of you came together?
Yeah. When I started putting a band under the name of Vandenberg together again about 3 years ago,
Uh huh.
um, out of Holland, I was not aware, and still am not aware of musicians, like really good rock musicians in Holland. I don't know, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear some names here and there, so I thought, man, I would really like to find the guys in Holland instead of flying back and forth to the United States again and
Yeah.
or to England. You know, I
Yeah.
wanted to try to make it a little compact.
Mm.
So what I did, I looked. There's a drummers magazine in Holland.
Uh
It's
huh.
called Drummer,
Oh wow.
and
Typical.
how unusual.
Yeah.
And they have a yearly top 10 of drummers that are voted by other drummers as the best drummers in Holland. And Koen, our drummer, has been voted best rock drummer in Holland for already 13 years.
Oh,
So I thought,
marvelous.
okay, I'm going to check out that guy. And I found him on YouTube, a drum solo. I go, holy shit, that guy is great, you know. So I approached him and he was really excited. He said, man, I've been waiting for a band like this, you know. So that was fine. And then Randy, the bass player, that was a tip from a guy that we know, a bass player who started an academy to a rock academy for bass players. Basically, it's
Mm.
like a 4 year learning experience, you know, to get really good at playing bass.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my manager approached him and he asked him, "So, do you have any guys, you know, who are in your school of bass guitar players?" Uh, who would be great for a rock band. He said, "Yeah, I know the guy," and that was Randy. And when Randy joined, he was 27, but
Yeah.
he skipped about 20 years because his favorite bands are Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Rainbow, all those bands from the 70s and 80s. So he was perfect. And that was it. And as you know, in 2020, I started with Ronnie Romero as a singer.
Mm.
But when COVID was almost over,
Yeah.
our um, our schedules didn't mix anymore because Ronnie took on some projects
Okay.
um, sooner than we could do that in Holland.
Uh huh.
So when our schedules didn't mix anymore, I thought, man, I'm not going to wait for another year to be able to tour because I wanted to get out there, you know, and play.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought, man, yeah, sorry, man, we can't, I can't wait, you know. So I found Mats,
Mm.
which I'm really happy about because Mats is fantastic as you read.
But you all sound brilliant together. You know,
Thank you.
creating another musical legacy for rock music lovers throughout the world.
Great, man. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to go a little back in time now. I'm going to take you down
Oh,
memory lane. Yeah,
sorry for the interruption.
yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot.
Uh huh.
Since you're from India,
Uh huh.
I approached a great singer from India. I can't remember. He's got a rock band in India. Um,
Girish and the
yeah,
Chronicles. Yeah, yeah.
yes,
I know of them. Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic singer. I got in touch with him,
Uh huh.
and he had a couple of projects going. I think. I
Okay.
said, well, you know, you never know how it's going to be in the future. He's a fantastic singer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Does he still live in India?
Uh huh. Yeah, he very much does. So he lives in the same city as I am,
Oh,
Bangalore in India,
yeah,
and
Bangalore, of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So they've been
Well,
doing. Uh
if
huh.
you talk to him, tell him I said hello.
I will for sure. That goes without saying. They are an incredible band, one of India's flag bearers for the whole rock
Yeah, great.
movement. Yeah, yeah. They've been
Yeah,
doing great. They've been doing wonders. Yeah. I would like to totally go back in time. I'm going to take you down memory lane and talk about you were going through a hard time dealing with a wrist problem, right? At a certain
yeah.
point. So could you elaborate on the exact state of mind you were in at that point of time I'm sure you must have been quite disappointed. I would like to understand as to how did you overcome all of this disappointment? And you also did mention that Steve Vai's guitar playing was a bit too flamboyant for the Slip of the Tongue album, right? So, what according to you was inappropriate?
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, it was really, really frustrating because,
Yeah.
as you know, I wrote the songs with David, and then suddenly this wrist problem showed up, and
Uh
it
huh.
felt like there was a band around my wrist. I couldn't. It felt really weird to play,
Okay.
and nobody knew what it was, because everybody in the studio was waiting for me. And I went to acupuncture, I went to a physical therapist. Nobody knew what it was. Only in 1999
Mm-hmm.
or 1998, I finally found out what it was. It was I appeared to have two neck hernias resulting from a car crash that I was in 1981.
Oh, no.
And I had a whiplash apparently, but I didn't know.
Okay.
What I did know was that even during the recording of the third Vandenberg album, Alibi,
Mm-hmm.
I remember that I had to soak my arms in hot water uh, a couple of times when I was recording. But
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was because of practicing too much or playing too much or whatever. So
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know. So finally, a doctor found out that I had two neck hernias that were pressing against the nerve that steers the index finger and the thumb. So
Oh, no.
in 1999, I went to the United States and had two operations where they removed those neck hernias.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing now what I knew now, um, those operations weren't really necessary because right now we know that hernias you can also get rid of by treating them differently, or in my case, hanging upside down for a couple of hours every day or
Oh,
something.
no.
But it's okay. Only let's see, when I started my former band Vandenberg and Moon Kings, um, I started developing a way to play with my nails more and more instead
Mm.
of with a pick, because the pick has a tendency to slip away through my fingers
Right.
because of that thing.
Grip.
Um, even when those neck hernias were gone, in the whole period before that, I
Mm-hmm.
developed um, a way to kind of push it out of my hands, and I put too much force on my arm, too much pressure,
Mm.
and so the muscles get too tight. So I didn't know that, but now I know. So I developed a way to play pretty much everything with my nails. I'm lucky; I've got really thick nails. Where's the thing? Here it is. There it is.
Right.
Um, so I have really thick nails. So I use my index fingernail and my middle fingernail as a pick,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that works okay. And I'm actually still developing it. I'm
Mm.
still trying to get better with it, and
Yeah.
it's not as precise as what I was able to do with the pick. But the thing is, for me, the thing that matters is I want to express on the guitar what I hear in my head, and whether it's going over the left side or going over the right side or going
Yeah.
all the way over it.
Yeah.
The only thing that matters to me is to express my emotions while playing guitar. So I'm finding different ways.
And
And it was, like you said, it was really frustrating. When I first heard how Steve played the album, first of all, I thought, man, it's quite an honor to have Steve of his caliber, play my songs.
uh-huh.
But at the same time, of course, the way I heard it in my head is exactly how I play on this album, on the Sin album. That's how I heard the songs in my head when I was working on the music. So I had to get used to it. And of course, I mean, you can tell right away it's amazing guitar playing because Steve's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was different. And Steve and I talked about it a lot. We had a great time touring together
Uh-huh.
because we became very good friends right away. And we still are in touch and everything. And so the tour was great because we are such different players that we both realized we were a great combination because
Yeah.
we're so different. So the crowd, all the fans get to hear an interesting mix of guitar styles.
Yeah. Yeah. But would have loved to have you on that one as well. It would have sounded incredible. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I've read quite a few reviews of Sin, and a lot of people say, well, this is how Whitesnake should have sound on
yeah,
the or would have sounded on the
yeah,
1990 album. Well, for those people, there's the album Sin, so it's fine.
yeah, for sure. Let's talk about Restless Heart. It marked a departure from Whitesnake's usual sound, showcasing a more subdued and blues influenced approach when I
Yeah,
listened to it, right? So could you share your creative process in adapting to this change while also trying to maintain the essence of the band's identity back then?
yeah. Well, it was for me very easy because I was always a Whitesnake fan way before I joined Whitesnake. Plus,
Yeah.
um, David and I talked about it, and we thought it was a weird time because grunge was suddenly really hip.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it, and we decided, you know what, we're going to go a little further back to the original sound of Whitesnake.
Okay.
And 2 years before that, I recorded the Manic Eden album with Rudy and Tommy and Ron Young,
Mm.
which was very much in that style because
Yeah.
I was already writing in that style, and
Yeah. Yeah.
using my Stratocaster, my Fender Stratocaster to play more bluesy. I do that automatically, when I play my PV or my Gibson Les Paul,
Yeah.
I automatically play more rock style.
Yeah.
So yeah, that came about very naturally, and we really enjoyed making that album. And I'm very happy that it got re-released last year because a lot of people have always been asking me, how can I get that album? And
Mm.
and I told them, yeah, hopefully it's going to get re-released at some point,
Yeah.
and it did, fortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. Too Many Tears is another all-time favorite track of mine. It's often
Great.
noted for how soulful and emotionally charged it is in terms of the whole vibe. So, could you share the backstory behind the creation of this song and its evolution into what we hear in the album?
Yeah, for that song, I lived at David's house for almost a year, and we every morning we get up and we started
Okay.
working on songs, and I can vividly remember very clearly
Yeah.
that we were working together, and David had some ideas, I had some ideas, and we put them together, and it naturally flowed into this blues song. And I played keyboards on the demo,
Yeah.
as I usually do and also on some records, and actually on the 2020 album, the keyboards that you hear on the 2020 album, a lot of them
Uh huh.
I recorded on my iPad,
Oh,
on my
wow.
demos,
Okay.
um,
Okay.
and we imported them in the mix. And
Yeah.
Bob and I, the producer, said, "Well, it sounds good enough."
Yeah.
But so I do play the keyboards in my demos.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were working on Too Many Tears, I put those strings behind it, and we felt, wow, it sounds really cool. It sounds like a classic blues sound, a
Yeah.
blues song, and we really wanted to make it like that. And all the older Whitesnake fans were really really happy with the album because there are quite a number of people who were original Whitesnake fans, like from the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
Um, they were not too happy with the 87 album because it was too much American hard rock for them.
Mm.
So those people all returned to go, oh, this is great. This is the kind of Whitesnake that we love. So it was a great in between type of phase.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Challenges are something that any artist would go through in life, right? So, what are some of the
Yeah.
key challenges that you predominantly face in your creative process?
Well, yeah. There's always challenges. I've always, like for instance, when I started with Teaser, that was the very first band I had before Vandenberg.
Uh huh.
Um, Nobody wanted to sign the band. I
Oh
made
no.
demos that sound exactly like the album ended up sounding.
Okay.
Um, but the business in Holland, they were afraid. They said, "Oh, hard rock, that's not for Holland," and they were probably right because in those days,
Yeah.
um, they didn't play it on the radio. So there was one guy who had the first rock and roll hit in the '60s with Dutch lyrics. He's a legend in Holland,
Uh
and
huh.
he started his own record company. He's probably in his 80s now or something like that. But he was a little bit more into rock and roll, and he dared to sign us. So that was the first, difficult thing that I came out overcome.
Yeah.
And then when I disbanded Teaser at some point because I wanted to go a little bit more heavy,
Yeah.
I put Vandenberg together. That was all fine. The manager of Vandenberg was a good friend of mine, and we both started sending cassette tapes to international record companies because we thought, in
Yeah.
Holland it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Um, so it seemed like an obstacle,
Mm-hmm.
but like within a week, we got a message from Atlantic record company in the United States, and they said the president who was involved with Led Zeppelin and AC/DC, big band,
Yeah.
and he said, I want to sign your band. So he flew to Holland, and that was it. So then the next, I mean, those are all musical obstacles, but in your personal life, of course, you have them all the time, like everybody else. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a rock fan like everybody else. I'm a normal guy. I just happen to have become very successful with something that is my passion and that I really love to do.
Yeah.
But other than that, you have personal stuff going on, and then of course the next musical obstacle, what we talked about before this, was the thing with my wrist. I thought, holy shit, now this. I thought maybe I'm never going to be able to play again because that's how it felt.
Yeah.
So I overcome it, and I realized years later that it was because of this accident. I thought,
Mm.
okay, well, the I have to find a way to keep playing, which was with my nails.
Yeah.
And then the next one was making the 2020 album, and suddenly COVID was there, and we couldn't tour. So there's always shit going on, and I've been in this business ever since I was about 16. So
Yeah.
I always go, okay, I'm a extreme hardcore optimist. I always go, okay, I'll find a way.
Yeah.
In the words of Monty Python, always look on the bright side of life. There's always a solution to any problem, and that's how I live my life, basically.
It's interesting, amidst so many obstacles and stuff being thrown at you,
Yeah,
you were constantly motivated throughout the process with just one motive, which was bringing out excellent music for people like us to listen to. Which is, I mean, I just love that constant drive in you, in terms of
thank
doing
you.
this no matter what, right? So
Yeah, that's it. It's
yeah, yeah,
I always realize, as far as we
yeah,
know, we only have
yeah,
one life.
yeah,
We don't know. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't.
yeah,
Um, um, I'm familiar with how the Indian philosophy is because I find all kind of cultures very very interesting,
hmm,
and Indian culture, of course, as we know, is different, and Indian philosophy. I find it really fascinating because um, we don't know. We only know when we pass away.
yeah,
But then in the next life, we probably won't remember how our previous life was. So
yeah, yeah,
sometimes you read about people who go under hypnosis and they
yeah,
know stuff from previous lives. At some point, I want to do that. I would really love to find out how it works.
yeah,
And who knows? Maybe I was a frog in my previous life, or a homeless person who played guitar in the streets, or
mm,
an art teacher, which I was, for a while.
yeah,
And all those things make life really interesting. So many philosophies from different cultures and countries and religions and everything. It's and we just have to find our way through
yeah,
all that, all those situations and beliefs and philosophies, and
yeah.
and make your own way of dealing with all that stuff, I suppose.
Sure. You did speak about past life, but if Adrian Vandenberg might have a rebirth, what might he be?
Um, it's interesting, very interesting. Um, I would probably, I would love to do the same what I'm doing now, but then knowing what I do now,
Mm,
that would be great. But I would still be. I'm just a really lucky guy, and I always enjoy it every day because I'm
yeah,
living my passions, which is painting and music and cooking because I love cooking. I also make Indian food.
Oh, you do?
Make pretty good curries,
Oh, wow.
and I love Indian food, man. It's
Yeah.
whenever I'm, especially in England, as you know, there's
Uh-huh.
many Indian restaurants, and some in Amsterdam also a couple of really good ones. And of course, they always are by Indian people,
Hmm.
and not by Chinese or Dutch or whatever, because it's always different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff. I cook, I make music, I paint. I'm a lucky guy.
Nice. Nice. Is there a spiritual element in the creative thunderstorm for you?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm, I always have the feeling that when I'm painting or writing music, that I put out like a mental antenna, and all these ideas are floating around in the air, and I have the lucky situation that they come to me in a way, and I pick them out of the sky, and I go, wow, this is nice. And then it becomes the work bit, because sometimes it
Yeah.
takes a day, sometimes it takes 2 hours, and sometimes it takes like a month.
Yeah.
But I'm always very thankful for the fact that these ideas keep coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you ever face constant pressure in terms of breaking new ground?
Um, well, yeah, I I personally put that pressure on myself because I want to keep making great stuff, and um, I don't want to disappoint the people who enjoy my music. So, and also I don't want to disappoint myself, because I would be very disappointed if I would make an album and I go, there's four good songs on there, but the rest is okay.
Yeah.
I would not put out an album like that. I work my ass off to deliver quality.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, During your time in Whitesnake, this is for the Indian fans, for the hardcore Indian fans. What were some interesting things that happened backstage?
In the Whitesnake period, I've got to tell you, it was not very interesting backstage,
Mm-hmm.
because the Rudy and Tommy and David very regularly had their wives over,
Mm-hmm.
and their wives made sure that everything was relaxed backstage.
Okay.
So yeah, the parties that I had were usually outside of the backstage area, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. And what's the average day like when you're not recording or on tour? What do you do?
Um, I either do some painting or I enjoy my life. I do like to go on my bicycle and go into nature and in the forest. I live in a very agricultural part of Holland.
Mm.
I like to go to exhibitions and museums. I like to cook a lot, almost every day.
Okay.
And I like to read about all kinds of stuff, about history, about politics, about cooking, about art, about music. I like to read biographies about music guys who I admire.
Mm-hmm.
I really like to travel.
Okay.
I really hope to come to India as a tourist
Sure.
at some point, because I hear amazing stories from friends of mine who have been there as a tourist.
Yeah.
But for me, there's always something going on musically, and exhibitions with my paintings or whatever. So, oh, by the way, what time it is? Because I don't have a watch over here. Because
Right. Right
what
now,
time?
right now it's 10:30 in India.
Oh yeah, yeah. Then I'm afraid we're gonna have to stop, because I have another interview at 7:30, which is now, for me, or
Okay.
at 7 o'clock. Let's see. We started at 6:30. Oh, wait a minute. It's it's at the hour. We had half an hour, so I suppose
Mm-hmm.
we already did half an hour then. I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. But I have
Oh
just
yeah, yeah,
one last part of the agenda.
yeah. Of course, go
I-
ahead. Yeah.
Is that all right? Yeah, awesome. So I have a rapid fire prepared for you. Okay, just four questions, and let's see how you do in terms of the rapid fire, Adrian. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. First question for you. What is that one song that always makes you cry?
Little Wing from Jimi Hendrix.
What's your favorite guilty pleasure song?
Domenica from Zucchero.
If you had to put together an all-star rock band, who'd be in it?
John Bonham on drums, Paul Rodgers on vocals, Andy Fraser on bass guitar, John Lord on organ, and me on guitar.
Incredible, incredible. One last question. Down in the distant horizon, what would you like to be remembered as?
Yeah, as a guy who's passionate about the talents that I've been given, because that's something you don't choose, you know.
Yeah.
I would have chosen these talents, of course, knowing what I know.
Yeah.
But I always realize it's not normal, you know. I'm really, really thankful for being able to live the life that I do. So, yeah, I don't take it for granted, never, you know.
All right. This interview will be additionally aired on Big FM Shillong and Aizawl, two incredible radio stations in the northeastern part of India. It'll also be on my YouTube channel, Aditya Veera 1994. And it'll also be streaming on every audio streaming platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, name it. So thank you so much, Adrian, for tuning in. I'd love to stay in touch with you in some form or the other. And I would also love a signed copy of the all-new Vandenberg record, if possible. Thank you so much.
I'll ask my record company to take care of it.
Yeah, that'll be incredible.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Take care.